In this video, you'll learn about Workspace, also the difference between object mode and edit mode tools. Lastly, resetting the object transforms. The top part of the interface is for workspaces, like layout, modeling, UV, sculpting, etc. That's Workspace. There are presets that arranges interface elements in a specific way. Here is 3D view, which I explained in a previous video. Here is the outliner, here's properties, and the timeline. These windows are arranged like this because we're using the layout workspace. If we switch to animation, the windows now are designed to easily animate. And this is UV editing. And instead of using all workspaces, you can stick to one and adjust its windows. But still, we're gonna be using different workspaces in this course. Currently, this object is far from the starting point, so to get it back there, you have two options. Either you go to the top right menu and set all location values to 0. Now it's back. Or you can hit Alt-G and it'll do the same. It will clear the location. Alternatively, go to Object, Clear, Location. You can see the shortcuts here too. We've only been using object mode all this time. But don't worry guys, all modes are almost the same. Now make sure to select the object you want to change the mode for. So expand this, and you can see different modes like Edit, Sculpt for sculpting, and the Edit mode to edit the object, Vertex Paint which we want to use, Weight Paint for rigging, and Texture Paint for texturing. Pick Edit mode and notice some options changing. Look at the Edit mode icon in the outliner near the selected cylinder. This is why we selected it before going to Edit mode, to ensure only editing this object. Now at the top left you can see three small icons: Face Selection mode to select faces, Edge Selection mode to select edges, Vertex Selection mode to select points or vertices. To select multiple points, hold Shift then left click. Just make sure to have a point selected first. I can now move the selected points using the Move tool. You can also use shortcuts to switch between selection modes. Press 1 for Vertex Selection mode, press 2 for Edge Selection, and 3 for the Face Selection. By the way, I think I forgot to teach you how to select multiple objects. So select the first object, then hold Shift and left click on the other objects. The last selected object will have a light orange outline, which means it's the active object. The dark orange outline means it's an object that wasn't selected last, non-active object. If I select another object, the old active object will become non-active. This is really important in Blender, like when you use active element transform pivot point. This will make the active object the pivot point. With active element, you can scale up and scale down based on the active object. The same with rotation. Now with bounding box, transform pivot point. Anyways, select an object and pick Edit mode. This tool is called Extrude Region. If you select the face and move it, it'll stretch the points around it. But if you want to create new faces, you need to extrude them. So I'll use the Extrude tool and pull this thing out. As you can see, the boundary points remained in place instead of stretching, and it created a new face. Alternatively, you could hit E on your keyboard to extrude it in or out. Keep in mind that if you cancel the extrusion with right click, it will look like you did cancel it, but actually the face is still there. So always hit Ctrl Z after cancelling the extrusion, and now you're golden. Now if I grab the face, it's working as expected. Moving on to the next tool, Inset Faces. This creates a smaller face inside the selected face. It will also create a looping polygons, which helps in some cases. Now I can move it out. It's like extrusion actually. You can also hit I on your keyboard to inset. Moving on to bevel, but before that let's select the entire loop. A loop is a series of connected edges in the same direction. Instead of selecting it manually, you could hold Alt then left click an edge to select the entire loop. Now I can use the bevel tool to smooth out the edges. At the top left is the amount of segments the bevel tool used, currently at 1. We'll try 5 segments. The bevel tool is like the bevel modifier, by the way. Or you could use Control B for the shortcut. What you need to know is that all these tools have a dedicated shortcut, like the loop cut tool to add geometry loops. Alternatively, press Ctrl R to add loop cut. The knife tool allows you to cut into the mesh. The shortcut is K on your keyboard. Press Enter to apply the cut. The smooth tool smooths out the vertices, so I'll select everything with A, which selects all components inside this object. Notice how it didn't select anything outside this object, since we're in edit mode for this specific object. It didn't select anything outside. Pick the smooth tool and drag this thing out. Or in actually. Sometimes it'll ruin the topology a bit, so be careful. By the way, one important thing, hit Alt-A to deselect everything. Now go back to object mode and hit A. It will select all objects. That's the main difference between using A in object mode versus edit mode. To toggle edit mode, hit Tab, or go from the top left as usual.